Hey artists! This video will show you how to make the small basic shape pillow using two different kinds of knots, the loop stitch or the whip stitch all the way around the edge, stuffing, sewing it closed, and then, if you'd like to, we can add on some additions using glue at the end. What you'll need to get started is to choose your basic small sewing shape, one color and one piece of felt folded in half for your top and bottom, a marker to draw your shape with, a sewing needle, and your thread. The thread needs to be as long as 1 arm's length. Let's get started. The first thing we're grabbing is a piece of thread. We want our thread to be as long as 1 arm. So I'm pulling it out and measuring up to my shoulder, and then I'm gonna cut, and please tuck the tail. If you tuck the tail in the little slit on the side, that way they won't get all tangled. All right, now I grab my needle. I'm ready to learn how to thread and tie a knot. All right, I've got my thread and my needle. I'm going to use one hand to hold my needle, and this is called the eye of the needle. That hole, the sewing vocabulary word would be the eye of the needle. With my thread, I'm pinching it really close to the end, not way over here. Pinch it close to the end so you can see and guide it through the eye of the needle. On the other side, I grab it, and I like to double up my thread and tie the knot at the end. That way my needle never falls off. So this is just one way to sew. I highly recommend doing this. If you line up both ends over here and we make a loop, tuck your ends under and through the loop, grab them, and then you're pulling that twisted loop, and I like to kind of push it towards the end once it gets small enough. That way I've got a nice amount of thread, my needle will never fall off, and I've got my knot ready to go. If your tail is kind of long, you can cut close to your knot, but not too close. Leave a little bit, otherwise your knot will come undone. All right, now I'm gonna choose my shape. I chose the heart. This one was gonna take 1 to 2 visits to finish. And with the basic size, these small ones, you just need 1 piece of felt folded in half. I'm gonna fold it in half, put my shape on the top, and draw it. So I'm holding my layers together, I'm cutting through on the line. When I start stitching, I like to start at the bottom of my shape, or wherever there's a nice flat surface. And I like to hide my knot so it doesn't ever show. That's why I just went through the top layer, and now my knot will be hidden. My art will look really nice. Think like an artist. How is it gonna look when it's done? So I'm teaching you loop stitch or the whip stitch. You're gonna go up and pull every single time. Up, pull, up, pull. Notice, artists, it loops around the edge, and I'm moving along forward each time. Up, pull. If you accidentally loop on top of yourself, that's easy to fix. I just need to get my needle back to the other side, and I can fix that. Okay. If you ever get a little loop, because we have 2 threads, it just means that that one thread didn't get pulled tight enough. So if you kind of separate and pull on one, nope, not that one, try the other one. Ooh, it was that one. So you just kind of separate and pull them tighter. Now, I'm at a point where my thread is getting really short. It's about as long as my thumb. This is where I need to pause. I'm running out and I shouldn't keep stitching because it gets really hard to sew and it gets hard to tie a knot. So I'm gonna pause with a finger length left, and I need to tie a knot every time I cut a thread or stop sewing. All right, I wanna hide my knot, so I'm gonna pull this through to the middle again so that my knot is hidden. It'll look really nice when it's done. This is a different kind of knot. This one is like when we tie our shoes, how we separate them like shoelaces. One crosses over the other one. One goes under and through. It makes a little twist if you just do it one time, just like tying our shoes. But if we do the second time, make an X again, under and through. Whoop. That twist is going to make a knot. 2 times makes a knot. 3 times is even better. That makes a double knot. If you have enough string to do it 3 times, do that. You'll be happy. Your knot will be nice and big. It won't pull through your fabric as easily, and it won't come undone. All right, now this is a little bit long. I'm gonna trim my tails, but not too close to my knot, otherwise my knot comes undone. And I can tuck those inside. Now, I'm gonna get some more thread on my needle, and I'll keep going where I left off. So I thread my needle, just like before, guide it through, pull until my ends are even, make a loop, tuck my ends under and through the loop, and I'm gonna kind of push it towards the end so I don't waste so much. All right, I'm ready to sew again, except I'll trim that tail. And I'm gonna start in the middle, right where I stopped, so that my knot is hidden and my art looks beautiful. There it is. Kind of tuck those tails in. And I keep going. Loop stitch or the whip stitch, up and pull. All right, I've sewn the loop stitch all the way around, nice small stitches, and then I got to a point where it's time to measure. I used 3 fingers, and I measure, once I have about 3 fingers left to go, that's my time to pause, put my needle down, and I'm gonna use this little pocket to stuff and make this puffy, and then I'll sew it closed. And I'll only grab a little bit at a time and push it into the little pocket you've created. Get that part puffy, grab a little bit more. That part. All right, it looks good. It's squishy, but it's not overflowing out the bottom because I need to be able to flatten that part and stitch it closed. I'm going to hold it shut with one hand and sew it closed. Here we go. I got to the bottom, and I love to hide my knots. So I'm going to go through into that middle space. In here, I'm going to tie my knot and tuck it away. So when I cut this, make sure I leave at least a thumb's length. If you cut it too short, it's too hard to tie a knot. So I've got these, pretend they're like shoelaces again, and make my triple X knot. All right. Done. So then one last thing is if you wanted to use other people's scrap pieces and do a design on the top, M for mom, or a heart on a heart, or maybe a cute little smile on there, a happy heart, you can definitely cheat and use a glue gun. You can put some glue underneath and glue it down, but that's not what a real sewer would do. I'm okay with you doing it on the basic pillows before you learn how to sew on button eyes and do decorative embroidery stitches.